What's up, guys? It's Gooba Gooba here with another video. Zenless Zone Zero came out. I was surprised by the time, but I hopped on as soon as I could, and I just wanted to do a really short video giving you like my first impressions one day in. I'm not through all the content, but how does it feel? Is it worth picking up, or is it horrible? Is this the worst game ever made? We don't know. You don't know. I know. You don't know. But we'll find out together. Let's get into it. So I'm going to go over the things that I liked more first, because I do think that the pros outweigh the cons. I think the cons are things that are easily solvable. But obviously, story comes first. It hits you out the gate, and I was totally captured by how it tells the story, or at least parts of the story. Important parts of the story are told in like manga comic formatting, and I don't know what it is. Like, you would think that a still image would be less engaging than like having like in other games where where people talk and there's like the hand movements and like, oh, you know, but no, this was super engaging. I loved how they presented the story. I thought it made it very palatable. And then in addition, for the writing for the story, it's very direct, which is, with gacha games, it's really nice because all of them have a tendency to bloat the dialogue and make it all just like stretch out without saying more things. This is a lot more direct. I get a lot less bored while I'm going through it. And then coupled with the manga and or comic like aesthetic, it really kept me engaged like right off the bat. Now, it wasn't like, you know, Honkai Star Rail where there's an invasion. It wasn't like Wuthering Waves where like this dude wakes up and like sees a vision of a dragon. I don't remember what Genshin Impact story was. They see a dragon. There's a lot of dragons in anime games. So it wasn't like anything huge, but it was enough to keep me engaged. And what really sold me was the chemistry that they have between the three characters that you come across first: Billy, Nicole, and Ambi of the Clever Rabbits. I don't know why I forgot the names of Clever Hair. So some sort of intelligent and some form of rabbit. One of those two. But those three, because of like the exaggerated like style that they're going for with like the comic and manga, they have a lot more personality that comes through very like vibrant, and that is just such a like sight for sore eyes. Because as much as I love characters like Zhao or, you know, Calcharo that just look a little bit more reserved, right? Like they're a little bit more quiet, they're a little bit more serious. Everyone in here is such a vibrant personality, and I really enjoyed it. They have great banter, they've got great interactions, they feel like an actual team instead of just three people that the story chose to put together. And that carries throughout the rest of the game, and I love it. I'm super happy with how they've done like the trial tutorial story characters that we interact with. Now, after that, when we start getting to control the characters, we go into the next point, which is the movement. It feels incredible. Everything about the movement and like the combat is like buttery smooth. Like it's one of the smoothest experiences I've ever had in my life. Now, count how many times I say smooth in this, because that's how incredible the combat and the movement was. It felt incredible. Then, you know, one of the weakest things for me usually in gacha games are the events / mini games / whatever is not the main dish, whatever's like the side dish that they throw on to try and keep you entertained. It's usually just like, personally, it's just usually not my speed. Like in Wuthering Waves, we had the Overdash, and that was terrible. I was so bored. And I went and I visited the arcade in Zenless Zone Zero, and it was incredible. I played like, I think I took a break from the story, and I played like 10 games of Snake. Because you can play Snake just on your own, or you can play competitive 4-person Snake, which is like so fun. And they've got other games too, but Snake was a standout for me. It was super fun. It was a blast. Like, it wasn't sweaty, it wasn't hardcore. It was very relaxed. Everything about this game, despite like being vibrant and like bouncy, this game doesn't feel stressful. It feels very relaxed, which is nice because it balances that really well. I'm not bored, I'm relaxed, which is good. And then, you know, to keep going on that, the background music all in all was great. When you're in the overworld during the beginning playing as the main character, it's probably like the worst one, but it's not like bad. I have enjoyed all the music. It definitely adds like a good tempo to everything. So I loved that. And then, you know, usually in games, you get to pick one main character, the boy or the girl, and then the other one disappears, or they're forgotten about, or like for some reason they're not there for like narrative reasons. But in this game, the male and the female protagonists are brother and sister, pretty typical. but they're both in the story and they interact with each other. And that is so good to me because it's not just like we're silent, faceless, and interacting with these other characters and they have good personalities, because we get to play off our sibling who we feel like in the story, like story-wise, we feel comfortable with them. So we're able to be more direct and like tease them. And the dialogue too, like it allows us to tease and have like fun options. It was really refreshing to be able to have both people. Honestly, it kind of feels like playing both, even if you just see like one of them more than the other. The character models, I would say, are probably the first downside that I noticed off the bat, is just that like it's growing on me, but it started out with as my least favorite models of any gacha, where I don't know if it's like, I don't know what it is, honestly. I don't know if it's just like too smooth, or the colors are too muted, or there's just not enough like shadow and contrast. I don't know what it is, but they like looked a lot like those like 3D figurines that people will buy for like their favorite animes, which look good, but they look like figurines. And these guys looked like figurines at first. Now, and part of that too is just it's a different style. Now it's grown on me a lot, and every single minute that I play, I'm enjoying it more and more. So I feel like, it might just not be your thing. It might end up just not being my thing. I just think it's something that you'll gradually get more and more used to and like more and more. After that, so this part I believe is more relevant just for the beginning. And that's why, this is a first day thoughts. This is like how it's going to feel for you for the first day. I pulled as soon as I got like the summon option available, and I've gotten really lucky. I got Sukaku, I got Ellen, and I got Lycan, whatever, the wolf guy, the beautiful, beautiful furry. Which is great because you know what? That's a great team. I love the ice. I love how they play. But in the story, I'm getting to like use them and interact and watch the characters that I pulled. Not very much. I'm running around like 90% of the time as like I chose Wise. I'm running around 90% of the time as Wise, and I only see the characters that I pulled when it comes time to fight, which is not all the time. I would say it's actually one of like the minorities between the overworld and then the puzzles of the TV system. Now, I have heard that that's something that's just more in like the intro, like first 2 days experience. And then I've heard that you get to interact more with the characters that you pulled, and the TV system gets minimized or whatever. Because that's another gripe, is that the TV system is at first, in the first couple of times, it's great, it's fun, but every single time it gets progressively less fun for me. And that might just be a me thing, where it's a puzzle, but not a puzzle where I feel like I really have to think. You just go and you land on the TVs that just aren't plain gray. Like anything that has a design, just jump on it. The hardest part is just pushing a box on up to a lever, and that's it. So I haven't really been like, now where I'm at, it's gotten just more tedious having to go through that and to be able to go into combat. And then in combat, it's a lot more like solo leveling Arise, where it's just like stages. And so the backgrounds all look the same and the mobs are pretty much the same. And so I've gotten a little bored in the lack of diversity. Now, I am hoping that that's something that either changes once, I'm in the later stages of 1.1 or 1.0. Or that they fix later on. I think it's a very solvable solution problem. It takes a little bit more work, but it's not like complicated to solve. The repetitiveness of the TV system and the repetitiveness of the scenery and enemies that I'm fighting, that's gotten to me a little bit, but I am still enjoying it. Now, the combat itself, you might have remembered that I said smooth 100 times because that's how the movement felt, and the combat also feels smooth, but that's more of how it feels. It feels great, but what you're actually doing is a little bit less engaging for me, to where I have the same problem that I ran into with Genshin Impact, which is that the mobs are appearing kind of just like sandbags. If it's not like that stage is like big boss mob, they just kind of stand there. Though at worst you'll get one that's long range and it'll shoot at you occasionally. But it doesn't do very much, and they just kind of become punching bags. Like I can just sit there and spam auto attack over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm hoping, even in that, I'm doing like a challenge mode, and it's still like I'm not getting hit. I don't think I'm getting hit harder. I'm not getting hit enough to even know if I'm getting if it's doing more damage, because there's like a small, you can dodge twice and then there's a small cooldown. but it's not like, it's like really short. So there's not much downside. You can dodge pretty unlimited. And it makes the combat feel a little bit less satisfying than I was hoping for. That said, that's something that can also be changed. You know, I think the combat as a whole just needs to have a little bit more like wow factor. It feels perfect. I need the mobs to do a little bit more. Again, that's something that's super solvable, right? These could just be 1.0 mobs, and then in the future, that's when they'll start rolling them out, right? Like that's how they can fix it. Just take the, you know, they've sent out a survey for us to give our feedback. I hope that there are people who are saying like, hey, the mobs aren't engaging, I'm just punching them. And that like, they're like, okay, well, we'll start rolling out, you know, this is a stage where you get to like learn about the lore and the game, and then you get to build your characters, and then we'll roll out mobs that really do something. I really hope so, because I would say between this and like Wuthering Waves, which is the other game that, you know, if you don't know, that came out recently, and that's like more of a direct competitor, Wuthering Waves combat feels better. I think the movement in Zenless Zone Zero is better. I think the combat and the depth of the combat is better in Wuthering Waves for right now. That said, you know, it's been a day since it came out. We do have to wait to see like, hey, maybe there are these hidden mechanics, there are these mechanics, there are these mechanics. And like this, there is more depth, we just don't know it yet. But like just coming off of like a first day experience, does it feel that rewarding? No. But is it easily fixable if they want to? Absolutely. So I'm not super worried about that. You know, I think 1.2 is when I'm gonna start being like, hey, you know, am I gonna keep playing this, right? If there's no reward that I can feel from like the combat, and I'm spending all my time doing this puzzle that's not really like a hard puzzle, then it's like, why am I playing this game, right? That's why I stopped playing solo leveling Arise. It's just because I didn't enjoy like the stage combat. Like it just felt like the same thing over and over and over again. That said, I really hope they do fix it. I really hope that like even in this patch, right, as I approach the end game, as I approach, you know, the end of what the content they've put out, that it gets better, right? This could all just be, you know, first day. But, you know, and take this, even if you're just like, why are you telling us this instead of like waiting until you finish it? That's just because either say like, listen to what I'm saying, and you can just not play, but like take this, just keep it in your head, be aware of the criticisms and what I say about the criticisms, so that like, there's nothing, right now it's at the smallest it will ever be. It's definitely worth playing and trying out, right? Just be aware of what I'm saying so that you don't get too disappointed, right? Go past the first day, understand, like don't go in thinking it's gonna be, you know, like the combat of Wuthering Waves, the story of Star Rail, the open worldness of Genshin, like the best parts of all these games combined into one. It's not right now. So just be prepared, set your expectations at a reasonable level, and I hope that you try it out. That said, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna, at the end of this version, when I go through all the content, because I wanna take this, you know, I wanna enjoy it, I don't wanna burn myself out, so I'm gonna take this at my pace, and at the end of the version, I'm gonna come back through and I'll give like a more in-depth review of Zenless Zone Zero. But I did just wanna put out like my first day one thoughts so that you guys have like some expectation to measure it against. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You know, there's so many videos out there. Zenless Zone Zero is going to be a huge game. So I really appreciate you checking out my video of all of them. Have a good day. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.